Hi friends. On July 17th, 2018, Middle-earth Shadow of War got a major patch. It completely removed the in-game market, basically reversing the original decision from Warner Bros. To support the game with microtransactions. It's been 10 months since launch, so it's certainly worth debating if this is a too little, too late type of situation, but it's still a dramatic change for such a major game and it reflects a lot of the current state of the video game industry. But before we get into that, if you do like this video, please drop a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing for more. It really helps out and I really appreciate it.
Do you have any idea how far I tracked you? My feet hurt, my legs hurt, and I'm tired.
So Shadow of War's in-game purchases have been a major point of criticism since months before the game even came out. With the bulk of the game being about managing an orc army with varying degrees of quality, it sounded kind of awful that the option to just buy better orcs would even exist. But things got even worse once reviews for Shadow of War hit and everyone found out that the game's final chapter involved building a ton of orc squads multiple times to defend against invasions with little to no story beats breaking up that grind. In short, it felt like an entire section of the game that existed just to encourage you to buy more orcs from the market. It may not have actually been that, but that's definitely what it felt like. Shadow of War's microtransaction scheme was the final shot fired in what would eventually become a war between players and game publishers over what players felt was a growing trend of pay-to-win games. This game, alongside 2017 Star Wars Battlefront 2, is a big part of why the fan reaction to a lack of pay-to-win systems now is more positive than the fan reactions to actual gameplay details.
No, there's no more premium pass in this game. This means no more... Wow, thank you. It's the least I can do. Thank you.
But this video is about what's changed since those days. In a community post earlier this year, Monolith, the developer of Shadow of War, announced that they'd be removing purchasable loot boxes, saying, quote, "We've come to realize that providing this choice risked undermining the heart of our game, the Nemesis system. It allows you to miss out on the awesome player stories you would have otherwise created, and it compromises those same stories even if you don't buy anything. Simply being aware that they are available for purchase reduces the immersion in the world and takes away from the challenge of building your personal army and your fortresses." So let's talk about what those changes have done to Shadow of War today. The original game has loot that drops from orc captains should you choose to kill them rather than recruit them to your army. That gear, of course, would also come from loot boxes in the past. Now they can come from a few other places in the game, like story progression, and the gear upgrade system has been expanded. It's possible to upgrade an item that has a cool effect but maybe a lower level than your character so that it matches your character's level and thus remains viable. You can also reroll effects on equipment by spending gems, which most players will have in spades as they sink hours into the game. So now you can only get gear from playing, the gear itself tends to be better, and it can be upgraded in more ways, which improves that whole system overall. Additionally, Shadow of War's daily challenges, which used to award gold to spend in the market, now give legendary gear pieces. The Nemesis system has also obviously seen some changes. In lieu of the cash shop being removed, Monolith has added some cool upgrade options for that part of the game too. Before now, there were items that gave your orcs training orders, which basically granted them more bonus traits. Now, not only can those upgrades be bought with Mirian, but I think they also have more upgrade effects. I don't exactly remember all the old options, but I'm pretty sure that you have more options now as far as how you want to level up orcs. They've also put some work into the skill system, which wasn't ever really impacted by the in-game store, but they made changes to that in this patch as well. There's a prestige system for skills now, which helps maintain that carrot on a stick idea as players continue to level up after they finish the story. And finally, speaking of the story, they've shortened that Shadow Wars chapter, the part of the game that everybody hates for basically being shut up and grind. There are some small dialogue additions which, for me at least, went a long way toward making that stretch of the game feel less dry. The cutscenes are still the same, so if you've seen how the story wraps up already, you don't really need to worry about replaying the game, although I did that anyway because I'm crazy. And for the record, the final ending didn't do much for me, but the climax of Shadow of War's story has one of the best moments I've ever seen in any adaptation of Tolkien's fictional work, and it's absolutely worth playing the game for. Which, I guess, is the heart of this video, right? Middle-earth Shadow of War has had its share of controversy. It earned a reputation as another AAA game ruined by greedy microtransactions. But these changes, along with the recently released playable demo and the definitive edition of the game, seem aimed at selling the game to people who were turned off by the negative word of mouth when the game first launched. So, if the question is this game worth buying now, I would say yes. The star of the show has always been the Nemesis system and fiddling around with all the crazy orc stuff. The game is even better now at delivering on that since Monolith has reduced the grind and given players more control over those units. There's never been a better time, as they say.
Your time has come, champion.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see us dig into more games, let us know by visiting Everyone Who Cares on Facebook and Twitter. And if you want to help us make more videos, please consider visiting Everyone Who Cares on Patreon, where you can both support us and get rewards like the option to choose topics for the next episode of our podcast. Such a shout out to RX from the RX Gaming channel, one of the best channels on YouTube, for giving me some knowledge and some inspiration. See you next time.